But when you visit death row for the first time and you meet that gentleman who's your age and you have that awakening that you want to do something and help people, I was curious for you as actors, you both do amazing things to help people, charity and all the work you do outside of the business of acting. What was that awakening moment for you that Brian has in that moment to help people? Do you remember having that moment where you're like, I want to do something with my platform, I want to help people? Do you remember that specific moment?
Not a specific moment. That's a great question. I think, for me, growing up, I've always been around things of service, growing up in the church, working at food banks, being able to, homeless shelters, being a part of a lot of community community activities and environments that was always, helping each other, coming from Newark, New Jersey, very humble beginnings. That's kind of like, that was my upbringing with my parents. I think it started at that level of just, holidays, people not having a lot, my family cooking huge amounts of food for people to come in, come by, eat. If you're hungry, come in. That's, having that type of spirit, that nurturement as a young child, that doesn't go away. So when you get older and you start to have more, it's almost second nature. This is what I'm supposed to do. How can I help? How can I be of service to somebody who doesn't have? And I think it just continues to grow as I grow, and I'm gonna continue to do that, I guess.
Did you ever have a specific moment, or is it something similar?
I think I've had several moments. From meeting Trayvon Martin's mom at the BET Awards, and having a relationship with her and other families, but also my artistic relationship of seeing like how this movie came together. Watching Michael B. Jordan in Fruitville Station. It was an interesting thing. I tell you this all the time. I take some homies. Like these homies. Man, we gonna go watch Fruitville, and to watch his performance make people weep. I'm sitting there and we all felt it. And now to see the DNA of his artistry now float from Killmonger to Bryan Stevenson. Is so needed for us, So that's a thing when you can take the art and entertain, and then just like how you said, you wanted to get up and go do something. Yeah, so bringing it closer to home, that's my inspiration. Being able to see all of it work together, and then have a beautiful movie that goes to Toronto Film Festival, get these standing ovations, and a subject matter that, if done wrong, could minimalize what people want to see or want to feel, but to see how it's done right and everybody's on board, it's amazing.
There's a line in this film that really, really hit me. It was the moment of you're guilty from the moment you're born. Brian happened to be in the right place at the right time, was able to help Johnny D. And what scared me about it was, what if you weren't there? What if a person doesn't have that Bryan Stevenson? Can you talk about that line specifically, and just the idea of what that line means and how powerful it is, but also what people can do? Because I feel like there are a lot of people in the system right now that aren't going to have a Bryan Stevenson, and that just genuinely scares the hell out of me that doesn't happen. So what does that line mean to you, and what can we do as general people to help this situation?
I think Jamie, you kind of, that was a line that you said that there's a certain racial view on Black and brown people. Media plays a big part in that. I think the perception of what we look like. Sometimes people's mind automatically goes to being guilty. So wrongful, bad, intimidating. I'm scared. We have years and years and years of propaganda pushed on us in a certain type of light. And yes, it is scary that that there aren't more Bryan Stevensons out there to balance the amount of people that are wrongfully convicted, that are given unfair sentences, that are still in jail to this day, that aren't as hopeful, as the Johnny D's, of the world. So it's tough. It's a sad truth that's out there. But hopefully, stories like this, will help get people as frustrated and motivated as you were, and also as hopeful that maybe when you leave that you want to do something, you want to find your way in to make it count. How can I leave this movie theater feeling this type of way? How can I go educate myself? How voting is extremely important. This is obviously is an election year. We need to vote the right type of way. Find out what policies, what congressmen, what judges are being appointed in your community, in your area, that you can put into the seat that's going to change things. And I think if you start at that very basic, very primitive, level of understanding and education, that you can that will follow its way up, and it'll give Brian more of a shot, to really go into these Supreme Courts and to really start to give him more ammunition, to give him more things to pull from, so he can start making some real impact, that he already has, So I think it's subjects like this sometimes feel so big that people feel paralyzed, that they don't want to do anything, and they're just like, this is too big for me. I'm not gonna. What can I do? I'm just not gonna do anything. And I think that's the worst attitude and outlook you can have. So to take that and flip it and be like, okay, I matter. My opinion, my vote, I can go do something about it. I think if everybody has that, they can start demanding answers from these broken systems.
It's when Michael's character goes to death row for the first time and meets somebody his age. And in that moment, he has kind of an awakening, this idea that he wants to help people, that he feels like he needs to help people who are not getting proper representation. You two both do amazing work to help people. Kendrick Academy, and you obviously do amazing work as well. I follow all your work on Instagram, the things you do for the girls, the GoFundMe for Captain Marvel. Was there ever a moment specifically for you when that awakening hit you that you really wanted to help people? I know it's a different type of help considering that's death row, but do you remember having that awakening moment where you're like, I really want to help people and use my platform to do so? Do you remember that?
I think probably before I had a platform. This is who I am. I was a Girl Scout proudly growing up, even through high school. I know, such a nerd, but
it's so sweet.
I've always looked to identify a need and help to serve the need in order to solve or eliminate the issue or the need. And so it's just kind of always been a part of who I am in my community, my local community, and then it just continues to expand.
And for you, did you ever have a specific moment, kind of like Brian does in that moment, where he's like, I really want to help people?
I just feel like it's been part of my life because I've lived a life of curiosity. So my whole life has been why? My mom says I could talk before I could crawl, and I was always like, what is that? What is that? And so I think that curiosity ends up going hand in hand with being of service, because you have to be curious about what's happening in your radius at all times to go well, why do I believe that I'm different from that person, and sort of trying to close that gap. And now that I have more power and I also have more finances, I feel like I'm able to expand what I already believed in a way that is beyond what I ever thought I could do. And I'm so excited to do more with that. And I think it's infectious. I think curiosity and being generous and having joy in doing that are infectious in a way that is beyond anything else, way beyond cynicism. And so I take that into account every day.
And you look at Destin as a filmmaker, I mean, he's such a great filmmaker, and you look at the films he makes, Short Term 12, obviously, this movie, they are important movies. And I was wondering, as actors, where is that balance of taking on a script that you know is going to move across a movement that we need people to talk about, versus, look at films like Avengers and obviously Captain Marvel, which actually have great messages as well. But where's that balance of choosing scripts where you go, I want this to do good for the world? Is that something you think about when you read it and you go, this is going to help people?
There's everything that I make has to help people.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would say you could probably, I'm trying to think about it. I've never gone through my IMDb. I'm sure there was a period of time early on where I was just broke and, I don't know if my episode of Ghost Whisperer was out there helping people, but I was broke. But at a certain point, once I was able to make the decisions for myself, I really believe in particular, the sanctity of taking someone through an emotional journey that is paid however much money to sit in a theater. They deserve to go through something that is poignant and meaningful and connects them with humanity. And I care even more so about what feeling they're left with.
Yeah.
I want people to be left with a sense of like, I am the world and I am with the world. And there's various ways to do that. You know, there's infinite ways to do that because there's so many masks that you can put on that.
Yeah.
But to me, like, I feel like what Captain Marvel can do or what a superhero movie can do versus like what a drama can do, like they all have to have a message.
Yeah.
Otherwise, what's the point?
I agree. Well, thank you so much for everything
Yeah.
you're doing. Thank you for what you do for students. Thank you for
Thank
everything you.
you.
do for women and everything you do. So thank you.
Of course, yeah.
Pleasure to talk to you.
Yeah.
And, congratulations on the
Thank
film. It's a
you.
really
Excited
wanna
to
go
see
out
what
and-
you do.
Yeah, I want to go out and do